We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the India AI Impact Expo 2026 alongside the India AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. 5-day expo will serve as a national demonstration of artificial intelligence in action. Israel demands total dismantling of Iranian nuclear infrastructure and not just stopping enrichment process as negotiators from Iran and US head to Switzerland for second round of talks. Trump hails the Board of Peace, announces over $5 billion pledged by member states for reconstruction and humanitarian efforts in Gaza. British government announces consultation on online safety, including a possible social media ban for under 16s. Prime Minister Starmer seeks broader powers to regulate internet access. And in T20 World Cup, India in a dominant play beat arch rivals Pakistan by 61 runs, secure Super 8 spot. And on to the details now. New Delhi will become the epicenter of global artificial intelligence dialogue as India hosts the 5-day India AI Impact Summit 2026 at Bharat Mandapam from Monday. The formal opening ceremony will be led by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday, that is 19th of February. Overall, the summit is set to bring together some of the most powerful voices in global governance, technology policy and innovation under one roof, making it a landmark moment in the international AI calendar.
New Delhi is set to host the India AI Impact Summit 2026 at Bharat Mandapam from February 16th to February 20th, placing India at the center of global AI discussions. As AI transforms key sectors, the summit positions India as a leading voice on governance and democratization. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the event with leaders including French President Emmanuel Macron and Brazil's President Lula da Silva attending the summit.
The summit itself is proving to be a very large event. We are expecting about at least 20 heads of state and heads of government. We are expecting leaders of about 7 or 8 international organizations, including the United Nations Secretary General. We are expecting ministers from about 45 countries and in addition representations all put together of close to 100 countries. In addition, we are expecting close to about 100 CEOs of important companies across the world and many other academicians and researchers and experts in the area of AI, including 2 Nobel laureates.
Moving beyond safety debates in earlier global meets, India's summit focuses on real-world impact, people, planet, and progress. Backed by the India AI mission, the aim is to show how AI can power inclusive growth, support farmers and businesses, and prepare youth for future jobs.
I think the key message that we want to send is that whatever happens with AI needs to be human-centric and inclusive. There needs to be democratic access to AI resources, and it needs to be done in a way that people and humans are in the center of this process. Moreover, I think we need to look at it as a huge positive impetus to the overall economy and the possibility of using AI or possibility of leveraging this technology to see growth across the world, across every part of the world, including India, including the rest of the global south.
Global tech leaders, including Microsoft President Brad Smith and Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis, will participate, alongside representatives from OpenAI and Anthropic. Working groups will present proposals on AI commons and shared infrastructure. India will spotlight its push for sovereign AI, including indigenous language models and strategic sector applications. The summit seeks consensus on responsible and inclusive AI development.
Well, today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the India AI Impact Expo 2026 at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi. The India AI Impact Expo 2026 will be held alongside the India AI Impact Summit at Bharat Mandapam. Well, spread across 10 arenas covering more than 70,000 square meters, the expo will bring together global technology firms, startups, academia and research institutions, union ministries, state governments and international partners. The expo will also feature 13 country pavilions, including those from Australia, Japan, Russia and UK. The expo will also host over 300 curated exhibition pavilions and live demonstrations structured across 3 thematic chakras: people, planet and progress. In addition, the expo will feature over 600 high-potential startups, many of them building globally relevant and population-scale solutions. Well, also French President Emmanuel Macron is among the 20 world leaders attending the India AI Impact Summit 2026 in the national capital. During his 3-day visit, the visiting dignitary will engage in bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and jointly inaugurate the India-France Year of Innovation 2026. We get you details in the next report by correspondent Akhilesh Suman.
On 17th February, India and France will enter a new phase of cooperation in innovation. In Mumbai, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron will jointly announce the launch of the India-France Year of Innovation 2026. During Prime Minister Modi's visit to France last year, both countries announced the Horizon 2047 roadmap. The India-France Year of Innovation 2026 will be part of that vision. Throughout the year, programs will be organized to promote innovation in defense, space, civil, nuclear energy, climate, digital technology, and emerging sectors. The initiative is expected to generate awareness and inspiration, especially among youth. The India-France Innovation Forum will be held in Mumbai on 17th February. Apart from Prime Minister Modi and President Macron, the forum will bring together business leaders, startup representatives, researchers and policymakers from both countries. To take the India-France Year of Innovation 2026 to the public, a special cultural program will also be organized at the historic Gateway of India in Mumbai on the 17th. The Year of Innovation particularly will focus on startup collaboration, joint research, higher education partnerships, artificial intelligence, green technologies, and next-generation digital technologies. At a time when the global order faces multiple challenges, this collaboration between India and France will signal positive and constructive engagement on the world stage. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India from New Delhi.
Well, the tech world and representatives from over 20 countries will attend the Mega AI India Impact Summit 2026. The week-long summit showcases India's role in global AI governance and demonstrates how India is prioritizing on deployment of AI and its measurable impact on the citizens, something that the world's tech leaders have recognized. Let's listen in to some of the top CEOs, what they have to say.
India has always shown what's possible when imagination meets ambition. I commend Honorable Prime Minister Modi and the Ministry of Electronics and IT for their visionary leadership in organizing the AI Impact Summit, the first global AI summit in the Global South. It reflects our shared commitment to harnessing the transformative power of AI to drive inclusive growth, unlock human potential, and create a sustainable future.
The Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, is convening the global community through the AI Impact Summit. This initiative reflects the Government of India's commitment to ensuring that AI's next chapter is grounded in responsibility, trust, and inclusion, advancing shared progress for the Global South and across the world.
Around the world at the India AI Summit, especially at this time when the Global South has such an important role to play in shaping AI's future. Thank you to Prime Minister Modi and the entire government and all of the leaders who are participating. AI will define the next decade, changing how people work, how economies grow, and how societies thrive.
For India, Edge AI has unique potential, enabling real-time insights and driving scalable progress across agriculture, healthcare, education, and digital services, ensuring AI innovation benefits everyone, everywhere.
I've been a tech entrepreneur all my life, and I've never seen technology like AI before. We've seen the internet, we've seen the cloud, we've seen mobile, but AI is more than just transformation. It is going to change the way humans live. India has a pivotal role in this process. With its digital infrastructure, the enormous human talent, and a supportive government, it's going to provide AI to the entire world as time develops.
AI Summit in India is going to be a really exciting opportunity to talk about the benefits of AI. AI is such a transformational opportunity, especially for the bottom half of the population that has very little access to the knowledge economy. It will be most helpful to them and provide them services like healthcare services, education, other things at their level in their language. So it's such a large opportunity.
Well, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that India's role in the global economy and in shaping international affairs is steadily expanding. The UN Secretary remarks came as India hosts the AI Impact Summit, highlighting the country's growing influence in global technology and governance discussions.
I strongly congratulate India for organizing this summit. It's absolutely essential that AI develops itself to the benefit of everybody, everywhere. And that countries in the Global South are part of the benefits of AI. India is the right place to have this summit and to make sure that AI being discussed in depth in all its potential, enormous potential, and also in all its risks, but that AI belongs to the whole world.
And moving on the defence front, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will co-chair the 6th India-France Annual Defence Dialogue with Minister of the Armed Forces and Veteran Affairs of France, Catherine Vautrin, in Bengaluru on Tuesday. The meeting will review the entire gamut of bilateral defence cooperation with focus on expanding industrial collaboration. During the meeting, a defence cooperation agreement is expected to be renewed for another 10 years with an MOU on joint venture for manufacturing of hammer missiles likely to be signed in the presence of both defence ministers. An announcement is also expected with respect to reciprocal deployment of officers at the Indian Army and French land forces establishments. The two ministers are also expected to witness the virtual inauguration of the H-125 light utility helicopter final assembly of Tata Airbus by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron at Vemagal in Karnataka. And moving on, calling productive spending a hallmark of his government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday said the just unveiled union budget deliberately avoided short-term populism and instead channeled record capital outlays into infrastructure to drive jobs and sustainable growth. Well, in an exclusive interview with news agency PTI on the eve of the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India is laying the foundation for a thriving artificial intelligence ecosystem by expanding computing power and data center infrastructure capacity. Prime Minister said stronger manufacturing, services and MSMEs have enabled India to negotiate free trade agreements from a position of strength, noting that India now has FTAs with 38 nations. Also described the government's Reform Express as a driver of systematic transformation. Prime Minister said his three top reform priorities for the next decade are continued structural reforms to enhance competitiveness and productivity, deepening innovation across technology, manufacturing and services, and further simplification of governance to improve ease of living and ease of doing business. Highlighting key achievements, he cited reforms such as GST, higher FDI limits, including 100% FDI in insurance, labor reforms, and the expansion of digital payments through UPI. He said reforms have reduced middlemen, improved infrastructure and logistics, boosted startups, and strengthened MSMEs through better credit access and enhanced investment limits. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Tariq Rahman to be sworn in as Prime Minister on February 17th as Bangladesh Nationalist Party returns to power. And Japan's GDP falls short of expectations after weak fourth quarter recovery. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran. And moving on, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that any deal between the United States and Iran must involve the removal of all enriched uranium from Iran, as well as Tehran's ability to enrich more. Speaking at the annual conference of presidents of major American Jewish organizations, Netanyahu said he is skeptical of a deal, but it must include enriched material leaving Iran. Netanyahu also said Israel still needs to complete the job of destroying all tunnels in Gaza.
I will not hide from you that I express my skepticism of any deal with Iran because, frankly, Iran is reliable on one thing. They lie and they cheat. But I said that if a deal is to be reached, it should have several components that we believe are important not only for the security of Israel, but for the security of the world. There shall be no enrichment capability, not stopping the enrichment process, but dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place.
Well, Netanyahu's comments come as Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Geneva as Washington and Tehran prepared for a second round of nuclear talks this week, with Iranian officials signaling openness to an agreement that delivers tangible economic benefits. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, without providing further details, that a U.S. delegation, including envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, would meet Iranian officials in Geneva on Tuesday. While talks leading to the 2015 nuclear pact were multilateral, the current negotiations are confined to Iran and the United States, with Oman acting as a mediator. Meanwhile, the U.S. military is preparing for the possibility of sustained weeks-long operations against Iran if President Donald Trump orders an attack. Now, the U.S. has dispatched a second aircraft carrier to the region and is preparing for the possibility of a sustained military campaign if the talks do not succeed. The first aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, and several guided missile destroyers arrived in the West Asia in January. Asked for comment on the preparations for a potentially sustained U.S. military operation, White House spokesperson Anna Kelly said, President Trump is all option on the table with regard to Iran. And US President Donald Trump said Board of Peace member states will announce a pledge of more than $5 billion for reconstruction and humanitarian efforts in Gaza at an upcoming meeting on Thursday. Well, in a post on Truth Social on Sunday, Trump wrote that member states have also committed thousands of personnel towards a UN-authorized stabilization force and local police in the Palestinian enclave. Well, the U.S. president said the first official meeting of the group will take place at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. Delegations from more than 20 countries, including heads of state, are expected to attend. The board's creation was endorsed by United Nations Security Council resolution as part of the Trump administration's plan to end the conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Israel and Hamas agreed to the plan last year, with the ceasefire officially taking effect in October. Although both sides have accused each other repeatedly of violating the ceasefire. And the talks between Russia, Ukraine and the United States on ending the conflict will move to Geneva next week. Kremlin aide Vladimir Medensky will head the Russian delegation. The talks will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday. They follow 2 rounds of negotiations in Abu Dhabi, at which Russia's team was led by Igor Kostikov, its head of military intelligence. The return of Medensky, who led the Russian team at earlier talks in Turkey in 2022 and again last year, could signal that Russia expects the focus to move beyond security issues to broader points of disagreement between the warring sides. Now, nearly 4 years into the conflict, Russia and Ukraine remain far apart on key issues, including territory and the control of Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry said claims that its troops have taken the village of Svitkov in Ukraine's southeastern Zaporizhzhia region. Now, Russia controls about 75% of the Zaporizhzhia region. And moving on to update from Bangladesh now, Dhaka is set to witness a major political moment on 17th of February as Bangladesh Nationalist Party Chairman Tariq Rahman is sworn in as the next Prime Minister of Bangladesh, marking the formal return of the BNP to power. Well, according to BNP sources, the day will begin with the oath-taking of newly elected members of parliament, followed by the swearing-in of the new Prime Minister and cabinet later in the day. The oath to Tariq Rahman will be administered by Chief Election Commissioner AM Nasir Uddin, underscoring the constitutional transition after the general election. Tariq Rahman's BNP won majority in last week's election in the 350-member parliament. An 11-member alliance led by the Jamaat-e-Islami party, the country's largest Islamist party, is poised to form the opposition. Meanwhile, India is the first country to announce its participation at the Tariq Rahman oath-taking ceremony in Dhaka on Tuesday. Speaker of India's lower house of parliament, Om Birla, will represent the government of India at the swearing-in ceremony. The speaker's participation at this important event underscores the deep and enduring friendship between the people of India and Bangladesh, reaffirming India's steadfast commitment to the democratic values that bind our two nations. Also, India has welcomed Bangladesh's transition to an elected government under the leadership of Tariq Rahman. And moving on, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will seek broader powers to regulate internet access, which he said was needed to protect children from fast-changing digital risks. The government is pledging to close loopholes in existing laws designed to protect children online and will consult on a social media ban for under-16s as part of plans for online safety. Spain, Greece and Slovenia have since said they plan bans. The new powers are likely to lead to reduced parliamentary scrutiny of future curbs. Prime Minister Starmer said no online platform will get a free pass on children's safety on the internet in new plans. And in business news, Japan's economy grew more slowly than expected at the end of 2025. The GDP rose just by 0.1% in the October-December quarter, below market forecast of 0.4%. On an annualized basis, the economy expanded by 0.2%, also missing the expectations. The weak growth is unwelcome news for Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi after her recent election victory. In all of 2025, Japan's economy grew by 1.1%, following a 0.2% contraction in 2024. The fourth quarter growth came after a revised 0.7% contraction in the previous quarter. The government said private consumption and business and housing investment helped support the slight growth in the final quarter. And in sports news, Ishan Kishan's superb 77 and a potent bowling attack powered defending champions India to a hammering victory over arch rivals Pakistan in the ICC T20 World Cup Group A match. Ishan Kishan's muscular 50 kept India well on track despite the early wicket of opener Abhishek Sharma. A brief stutter occurred in the middle overs when Tilak and Hardik fell off in successive deliveries. However, handy contributions from Surya and Dubey propelled India to a formidable score of 175 for 7. The chase was in the shambles as Shahibzada, Farhan and Saim Ayub and captain Salman Agha were back in the heart with a mere 13 on the board. Hardik and Bumrah will 2 wickets each were the initial speed breakers for the rivals. Pakistan's woes extended as Babar Azam found Akshar Patel sliding one into his stumps. Meanwhile, Usman Khan waged a lone battle, striking cleanly down the ground. But once he succumbed to Akshar, Pakistan was down for the count. India eventually bowled out Pakistan for just 114 with a thumping 61-run win. India sealed their spot in the Super 8 stage. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.